All right, I think this is loading up now. Took a few minutes. I had some technical difficulties here, but yeah, it's loading up. I didn't really announce it. Didn't announce it. We'll just see who trickles in. I mean, it's a Sunday afternoon. You would think there'd be people trickling in. Hopefully, it's better than the one I did yesterday. Yesterday, it took like 5 minutes for people to get in here. Like, just no one was in here the first 5 minutes. I'm gonna give it a few minutes to load up. But for those of you who chime in after the fact, if this starts a little slow, you might want to skip a couple minutes in. But please remember to subscribe down below. Click the bell for notifications. Ring my bell, baby. Click like. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. And join my work army. All right. A few people in here. Only 4 people so far. None of them are asking questions. Nobody's asking questions. Also, don't waste your post with, hey, coach, hello, because I have a timer set for when it fills up so that you can only post so often. You won't get to ask a question for a little bit. So, 8 people in here. All you guys need to click like. If you guys click like, it will probably put it into more people's feeds through the engagement. And actually, your questions do the same thing. A bunch of people come in and lurk. I'm probably going to tab into another screen for a couple minutes. You know why? Because nobody's asking questions. So there's no point in me sitting here looking at the screen getting bored. I'll come back in a minute once you guys ask some stuff and more people click like. Over here and surf Facebook for a little bit. See how my clients are doing. All right. Had to update a bunch of spreadsheets today. I've actually made like 3 client blogs for the week today also. I was kind of getting sick of doing that though. Thought I would do a live stream. I'll tab back over. Nobody's asking questions. I guess you guys are just going to watch me drink water and look at Facebook. That's cool. Yep. All right, there's a question. I am stalled at losing fat, but my calories are kind of low at 2100. Should I increase calories slowly? Why would increasing calories help? Okay, you stalled. It happens. Doesn't mean you're not losing body fat. Are you sure you are in a calorie deficit? Okay, if you're sure you're in a calorie deficit, then you are losing body fat. It just might be really slowly. And sometimes this, and you see tons of experts have written about this. Tons of people have. It's called the whoosh effect. It's called the whoosh effect. You could stall for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks on a calorie deficit with no change in scale weight. In fact, I can be in a deficit and put on 10 pounds anytime I want to, literally without increasing my calories, just by upping my sodium dramatically. I can gain 10 pounds in a deficit. So it's water balance. Have you been consistent with your electrolyte intake? Okay, that's a big part of it. If that hasn't changed or if that's increased, you might actually be holding extra water. Got to give it time. But eventually, if you are in a deficit, you will eventually whoosh down. But if you've been losing weight at those calories all this time and you know you're in a deficit, then you're in a deficit. Just continue. Increasing calories won't increase your metabolism when you're cutting or anything. That is kind of nonsense bullshit that gurus have sold you that's not really based upon real science. Okay, it's not how it works. Beware of the people selling you reverse dieting and stuff. All right, now we got a few more people in here. You guys need to all click like, and some of you asked me some questions. We're 4.5 minutes in, and there's been one question. Come on now. Don't lurk, or I'm going to tab back out. Deadlift stalling at 150. Is that pounds or kilos? Don't give me numbers like that. Jerry, is that pounds or kilos? I'm going to need you to retype that. I'm going to wait because I don't have an answer. Unless I know whether that's pounds or kilos, I'm not going to have the same answer. So you need to let me know something. You're not going to be able to post again for 60 seconds, by the way. You guys need to include relevant details. Now, if it's pounds, that's going to be ridiculous. So I'm hoping that's kilos. I'm praying it's kilos. But let me read what he wrote. Deadlift stalling at 150. Just started doing them about 2 months ago. First time I did it was 140, and then it just stalled at 150 using boring but big on 531. I'm tall, 6'4". What might be the problem? Are you gaining weight? It's kilograms. Okay, there we go. How do you know you're stalled at 150? Like, how do you know what your max is if you're running 531? Are you sure you're running 531? It doesn't sound like it. Well, give me your exact training maxes you're programming off of and how many reps you're getting on the 531 plus weeks. Let's figure out what's going on here. Is a low sugar protein bar sufficient for pre-workout meal if you're pressed for time? I'm not big on protein bars at all. If you're pressed for time and you don't want sugar, eat some peanut butter, eat some Greek yogurt, eat a banana, eat some fruit. How would you balance 531 with starting a running program, running about 3 miles a week, a few times a week? Don't do junk volume, don't do junk miles. Same thing my friend Alex Viata tells you, right? Runs Complete Human Performance, works with hybrid athletes. We still chat. He and his girlfriend are awesome. So I don't have LED lights in my living room. I don't know what you're talking about. I actually not going to get into my private life strength hacks. That's a very personal question. It has to do with my private and business life. That has nothing to do with my training. So we're going to pretend you didn't ask that. But as far as that goes, you need to cut out junk miles. You need to cut out any junk volume. That's the only way to balance running with training. You do not run a single mile further per week than is required to optimize your goals. That's what Viata will tell you. And you do not do a single set in the gym that you do not know for a fact is giving you a desirable training response. That's how you balance running with serious strength training. Okay. You may need to hire a coach. If you're going to get serious about running while running a serious strength program, you may want to consider a coach. Hey, strength, maybe I don't have a choice in the lighting. So do you ever have people front squat for quad work if they don't have a belt squat machine? Or is single leg barbell work always better? Why would we front squat for quads? Kingslayer, that's ridiculous. Why would you front squat for quads if for building quads? Did some dumbass bodybuilder tell you that? It's not why you front squat. I have people front squat. We don't do it to address a quad weakness. Okay. If you have a quad weakness on your squatting, we're probably going to add sled drags or, again, belt squats or isolateral leg work, right? We're not going to front squat for that. And yes, I do prescribe front squats. In the past, I noticed you really didn't like the leg press. You still think it's a bad exercise. I've been saying for years that the leg press is a great squat accessory. That's why I tell you guys, ignore anything I said around 5 years ago through that period of time in my life, that little window. I've made videos explaining that my life really, I was going through a lot of shit back then. The quality of my information suffered. I was drinking heavy and I was dating an addict who you guys all saw on my channel. Okay. My information was really bad for a several year window right there. So keep that in mind. And I've made multiple videos explaining that. My OG stuff was good, and then my stuff in the last few years is good. Kind of skip that little middle phase. But I prescribe the leg press all the time. I have clients do it in vlogs. So that should tell you how I feel about the leg press. Hey, coach, love the wide stance goblet squats for adductors. I won't have access to a dumbbell or kettlebells at my home gym. Is a wide stance front squat a good alternative? No, that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different. Use plates. You have plates, right? Do goblet squats with plates. Why do you belt squat when you don't have a quad weakness? To build my whole lower body. Because I belt squat in place of back squatting. Okay, I do it in place of back squatting so that I don't deal with the axial loading or any of that stuff a lot of times with my squat. I'll probably work some specialty bar stuff back in coming up and then do the belt squats after just for total quad work, but it's about quads, adductors, and glutes. Do you think burpees are good for GBP? I don't like burpees. Do wide stance belt squats build adductors? Yes. Yes, they do. Also, guys, I may not run this one a full hour. I'm probably going to cut it fairly short. And could we get some more likes? There's over 3 people watching for every like. Let's get some engagements here. Does every effective work set on the strict press count towards 1 set for traps, for example, for just a strict press, 3 sets of rows? I don't know. I generally don't. I generally don't think of the press as being a particularly good trap exercise, not compared to any form of rowing or even the deadlift. I mean, it works the traps. I'm not super wild about thinking it's amazing for them. It just counts overall towards it. But again, the thing to remember is if you're doing all those movements, do you really need to worry about your trap sets? Your traps are getting lots of work. You could probably just forget about your traps at that point and not think about them. Right? I mean, if you're deadlifting, overhead pressing, rowing, these variations with plenty of volume, your traps are probably getting all the stimulus they're going to possibly benefit from anyways. Do you like the landmine squats and accessory? Nope, not at all. I think it's terrible. I think it feels like shit. I've tried it. How much GPP is a good starting point for a new lifter? I don't think new lifters should do GPP at all. You need to spend a month or 2 building your strength base before you add any GPP in. Holy moly, I'm banning you just for pimping a scam supplement. You're working for a scam artist or you're a dumbass. So you don't get to post on my channel. Either way. The deadlift question. On the 3rd cycle, I hit 140 for 3. The last rep took about a day. From what I read about the beginner's progress on deadlift, I think minus stalling squats, training max is 175 times 3 kilogram. Yeah, Jerry, you need a coach then, because that's not normal. Something's really, really wrong. I couldn't tell you what it is off of writing. You may need to contact me for a consultation, maybe, or some coaching, because something is way, way off. A question about the front squat had more to do from a recovery standpoint. If you have more recovery, you still wanted more lower body work and didn't have access to a belt squat, I don't listen to any bodybuilders. Kingslayer, in that case, single leg exercises would be a much better choice in the front squat. You know, for what you just described, the reason you described a front squat, it would make sense. It would make sense to do one-legged exercises. They would be much better than a front squat for your specific stated goal. Right? Do some split squats. Thoughts on using a Stairmaster machine as GPP? No, that's not GPP. What's the best way to increase your power snatch and cleans? Currently, I'm 135 for 3 reps on snatch and 175 for cleans. Practice them. Get stronger. That's really all you can do. Get stronger at your other big lifts. They'll carry over to those. Keep training them. and just consistently train them. It's really all you can do. Maybe add some plyometric work. If it's a speed strength issue, you could possibly do speed boxes, or you could do plyometric works to see if that helps with your speed strength, if that's what's limiting you. But you need to look at those snatches and cleans and determine what is your problem that you can't get stronger on them. Is it absolute strength, or is it your speed strength limiting you? Is squatting and deadlifting in the same session too much? I think generally it is, yeah. I don't program that way for non-novices. Future. So what do you think? I think I've made videos on it. Actually, I have one that should be out pretty soon, probably just discussing that. I probably need to make some more covering that. Are there percentages pertaining to weight differentials between the deficit deadlift, good morning, and standard deadlift? Nope, because your levers matter massively. Some people lose nothing on a 1-inch deficit. Some people literally lose 10% of their strength. You see the problem there? Would you ever start a company with other coaches working under you? Yes, I've thrown around the idea if my business grows to a certain point, and it might eventually of doing that. Finding the right coaches to do is the hard part. But I have multiple friends who do that. I have multiple friends who I talk to who do that same thing with their company, like Luke Lehman, Alex Viata. They both do that. I don't have access to a weighted vest to do weighted walks. Can a loaded backpack with weights do the same effect? No, because it's not as ergonomic. Now, can it be similar? Yes, it can work. It's just not the exact same effect because it's not evenly distributed front to back. You have to wear a backpack on the front weighing the same amount as the back. If bodybuilders train the way they do without drugs, do they still have some size? Well, it depends on the bodybuilder. Future, there's a million different ways that bodybuilders train. There's a million different ways that bodybuilders train. Show me 10 different bodybuilders and I'll show you 10 different training styles that don't look anything alike each other's. So how do you even answer that? Coach, how come you don't use the floor press as much anymore? I remember you were doing those when you hit. I don't like the partial aspect of it. I want the longer range of motion for more hypertrophy. Okay, it's that simple. There were other movements that were giving me way more than the floor press did at the time. Any recommendations for someone coming back to squatting and deadlifting after stopping for 2 years due to back pain? Previous numbers were 250 squat. 275 deadlift for fives. Build your low back up. Do a bunch of prehab for your low back, a bunch of banded good mornings. If you have access to reverse hyper, do that. Do high rep, lightweight good mornings with an empty bar if you need to. Build your low back up before you jump back into it and get your form dialed in. Do you think Eddie Hall would be stronger if he ran 5-3-1, all else equal? That's an absurd question. Why would he be? A proven cookie cutter program versus whatever he's been doing to get to the level he was at. Come on. 5-3-1 is a basic template. It's a basic template that works for a very large percentage of people. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be better than what Eddie Hall did for himself. Get realistic here. I squat as much as I bench. I want my lower body to be strong. Should I train with equal lower body to upper volume, or should I train with more lower volume? Train them equal. It'll catch up. Hi, Coach. I seem to have developed a quad weakness in my upper back as my worst body part. Do you think snatch grip deadlifts could be a good choice too, including I'm doing tons of rows already? How do you have a quad weakness and an upper back weakness? That doesn't sound right. No, and snatch grip deadlifts are not going to be the fix for your situation. I don't know how you come to those conclusions, though. And don't get me wrong, I like snatch grip deadlifts, but if you have weak quads and a weak upper back, I don't think that that's the solution. It sounds like you need some basic lifts because those are major weaknesses of major areas. It sounds like you haven't done enough basic work. Get on top of that before you get over to assistance work. Thoughts on replacing the boring but big 5-3-1 deadlifts with deficit deadlifts or block pulls? There's no way I would replace it with block pulls. Maybe deficit deadlifts. When is Worlds again? Are you getting excited? It's October. No, I don't get excited. Dean, thank you for the donation. It's appreciated. No strength hacks. I actually keep a very, very low level of psychological arousal about those. And I've got to worry about one meet at a time. I have another meet in 4 weeks. I have a meet in 4 weeks. Then I'll worry about Worlds. Right. So no, I'm not, I don't get excited. I take a very, very calm approach to these things. And if anything, at competition, I go out of my way to keep myself unpsyched as much as possible in between events and stuff. It again helps me drop water weight. If I'm experiencing a lot of emotion, it's going to be harder to cut water due to cortisol and stress hormones and adrenaline. Is overhead press overkill if you chest press 10 sets a week? No, not necessarily. So a big floor press usually equals a big bench? Not always. It can. Is a weighted backpack on inverted rows a good idea? No, I wouldn't go that route. You're going to struggle to get that correct. Coach, I do 28 sets of total bench, dumbbells, overhead pressing weekly, but I don't do tricep isolation work. So to add some in, or is my volume already too much intermediate lifter with a 250 bench? You're doing way too much chest pressing volume. You're doing way too much pressing volume in general. You need to cut it back. Your bench will come up better if you do. Hey, Coach, any recommendations of a homemade weight gainer shake? Well, quit thinking in terms of shakes. Just eat food. Peanut butter. Anything that you can add peanut butter to is the easiest way to get healthy calories if you struggle to gain weight. Doesn't have to be a shake. You can make a shake out of peanut butter. You can make a peanut butter shake out of milk, peanut butter, or whatever you want to throw in. You could just mix it with full-fat Greek yogurt. You can put it on bread, put it on tortillas. You can eat it right out of the jar with a spoon. Do you think running boring but big after Ice Cream Fitness 5x5 would be a good way to go? Yeah. I saw you programmed heavy work first and then 5x10 to 50% weight of 1 rep max. No, you mean of training max. My question is, how come that's not junk volume? Andrea, I have made 37 million videos answering that. Just look through my thing. I don't want to cover a live stream on something I've made ridiculous amounts of videos answering in detail. If you watch my channel, you already know the answer to that. I even covered it in live streams. I've probably spent an hour of these live streams answering it. I can't, dude, I can't do that again. I'm sorry. Just get caught up on my stuff. It's all up there. I don't answer political questions, horned guy. Could the weighted push-up be considered a decent exercise since you're moving your body through space? Yeah, potentially. I don't have a problem with the weighted push-up. I guess it could be a good movement. All right. Any other questions, guys? You guys have slowed down a little bit. Slowed down a little bit. I'm doing my squats, my deadlifts, etc., but I seem to be highly glute and hamstring dominant in both of those. My pin leg rows are only 55% of my bench, therefore upper back weakness. Tim, how strong are you? How strong are you? It sounds like you're not doing enough basic work. Can 5-3-1 be run with alternating bars every 2 weeks? I would absolutely not recommend that. Going about purchasing a Kabuki Cadillac bar instead of a standard Olympic bar. Is an Olympic bar necessary because I plan on competing at some point? Yeah, an Olympic bar is necessary. Well, a power bar, not an Olympic bar. I don't technically have an Olympic bar. I've got multiple power bars. Right? Olympic bars are really whippy for doing snatches and cleans with no center knurl. For assistance, is it okay to pick up a rep? Pick a rep number 50 to 100 reps instead of doing 5x10. For example, after your 5-3-1 bench, you do 50 chins and 50 dips. Maybe, but not on your barbell work. I mean, you could do that for bodyweight exercises, sure. What are your top sport specific lists besides the basic snatches and cleans? What sport? The only sports those are the only sport that those are sport specific to are weightlifting. Sport specific means it carries over directly to your sport, right? Mr. Blaha, how do you calculate deficits for people while taking the training, and how do you calculate protein requirements for those who can't easily figure out their lean body mass? You don't need to know lean body mass. You need to know body weight. You don't know your lean body mass unless you're getting DEXA scans. Nobody calculates it that way other than clowns online who try to make it more complicated than it needs to be. You calculate deficits based upon how much the scale is going up or down week to week. It's pretty straightforward. Weigh yourself every day, track your calories every day. You'll know your maintenance. Would you say taking the press out and having a bench squat deadlift day lead to better results if you have a strong press compared to other lifts? Sorry, guys. You guys always catch me. I do these after I finish my eating for the day, and I eat a ton of volume. You guys see my food on Instagram. No, it really depends on what's going on with your goals. I like a squat, bench, and deadlift day, but the press could still have a place in there as a supplemental lift if you're doing that. So again, it's a very context dependent question. I like a 3-day squat, bench, deadlift day though, but the press can still be in it. Just keep that in mind. You're just not treating it as a primary exercise. When doing skull crushers, would you recommend bringing the bar behind your head or to your forehead? You already know the answer to that. If it's behind the head, it's called a lying tricep extension. If it's to the forehead, it's called a skull crusher. So the name of the exercise already answered that for you. I recommend lying tricep extensions over skull crushers. Glad to see you out here still pumping out good information. Haven't tuned in for a bit, but it's nice to see things still rolling. Much appreciated. Yep. And I'm competing again, coaching. Everything's flowing. My coaching business is getting crazy. How do you ensure enough exercise variation between waves and 5-3-1, your accessory work? Is chin-ups 3 sets, pin lay rows 3 sets, and one-arm dumbbell rows 3 sets per week enough to develop upper back muscles, lats, traps, rhomboids, etc.? Novice lifter here. Yeah, but you, as a novice lifter, you don't need 3 different exercises. I don't prescribe that. Hey, coach, how do you fix knock knees? Thanks for everything you do. I don't know. Would replacing the boring but big 5-3-1 deadlifts with 5x10 deficit deadlifts be better for size? No, you could do it, but it's not necessarily going to be better for size. Deadlifts are great for size if you program them right. Boring but big programs them right. So the problems of it are taken out for you. The only issue with deadlifts for maximizing hypertrophy is that people don't know how to program the fatigue management in. Boring but big already programs it for you. So it removes 100% of the problems with the deadlift for hypertrophy. Can you replace press day with an incline press on 5-3-1? I do that for some clients. Usually only ones who really want to train 4 days a week and care more about their bench. A lot of people lift in garages that have slanted floors. Could this cause injuries, or is it insignificant? Try to find a way to slant it in a way that works with what you're doing. You know, turn your racks and footing to, you know, where you're not offset to your left or right. What are your top sport-specific exercises for football besides basic cleans and snatches, big barbell? This is strength training. None of these are sport-specific. Your sport-specific exercises for football are going to be pushing a sled, right? Sprinting, throwing stuff, and hitting other people. That is your sport-specific exercises for American football. Everything else is strength or power training. So if we're going to talk about those, squats, bench presses, arguably deadlifts, right? Get strong at the basic barbell lifts. You didn't post your food on Facebook today. I don't know that I probably didn't. I don't do it every day. Did I not put one up? I'm going to go check. Now you're going to make me tab out and go check my Instagram. You just lied. I totally put up a food picture of my second breakfast. It is on Instagram. Why did you just lie to me? Come on, bro. That's not cool. All right. Because I thought I put one up. Well, I'm currently at a 225 bench, 315 squat, and 415 deadlift. Yes, my bench is definitely lackluster. Well, Tim, I don't know what's going on. I need to see your lifts, though. I mean, you're making those claims. I mean, but I don't think that your quads are necessarily weak based on what you said. How you have a 315 squat, you're worried about quad weakness? Come on. Like, I get it if you have a 450 squat and you're finding a quad weakness. You don't have a quad weakness at a 315 squat. You have a lower body weakness. You have an ass weakness. You have a hip weakness. You have a quad. Everything is weak. The fuck are you talking about? Now, that being said, your upper back is weak based on what you told me on Pendlay rows. How tall are you at 200 pounds as a 5'9", 170-pound guy who is bulking? I'm trying to see what I am 5'9", but it's real 5'9", which is 6 foot on the internet. So if you write 5'9" online, you might be 5'6" or 5'7". I'm actually 5'9", legit. I don't weigh 200 pounds. I'm 214. I compete at 198. I do water cuts. Jason, my squat and deadlift reps are usually 2 to 3 seconds long. With weights, I can get 8+ reps. What do I need more plyometric? If so, what would you recommend? No, just lift faster. Coach, is a stronger narrow squat than wide squat indicative of adductor weakness? How would you correct this? Probably an adductor. Start squatting wider. Do some extra work to help with your adductor. Do some more posterior chain work. Could be hip weakness too. Jason, how long should I do the ice cream fitness program before switching to the 2.0 version? Thanks. You're not supposed to run both. You're supposed to pick one based upon your lifestyle. About 6 months, and then go to a more intermediate program. Jason, signs of a front delt weakness on the bench. You stick 2 inches off the chest when you miss a lift. Some coaches advocate heavy weighted hyperextensions. Why don't you advocate them? I do. I think heavy weighted hypers can be fine. Right? If you're using them as a serious lift, not if you're doing it way deep into your workout, though. I prefer good mornings for that same role for the most part. Dragos, I've already covered this ad nauseum in video after video after video. Hey, Jason, should I do flat and incline bench the same day? Possibly. What program are you on? What time frame do you think makes sense for someone who is dealing with stubborn lower belly fat until it's time to rethink the regimen? It doesn't work that way. What do you mean? You don't get to pick where you lose body fat. You will lose it there as you continue to lose body fat. There's no such thing as stubborn belly fat. You're just not losing fat, or you haven't gotten as lean as you would like yet. Are you open to doing program reviews? No, absolutely not. Never, ever, 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 fucking ever am I going to do program reviews. My original followers of my channel a decade ago know why. Jason, can you talk about GBP? Maybe it would be more helpful than a lifting session. How important is that cardio? Talk about GPP in videos all the time. It's important. You should do it. It's very helpful. It's very useful. Everyone should be doing GPP, barring a few people like rank novices who need to build a little bit of a base first. All right. I sometimes wake up too early due to outside noise, which hurts my sleep. Any tips? I don't know how to isolate the noise, and the walls of my house are relatively thin. I don't know, bro. Heroin Junkie, you've been a member for 3 months. Fantastic. You are most welcome. Pushing 50 here, only lift once a week because my job is physically hard. 3 sets of 8 each, but bench, back squat, and chins. Comments, you need more posterior chain work. Get those do some hamstring work. You need a hip hinge of some type. I know a girl that can't squat anymore because she feels pain in her hip when going down, like giving a blowjob going down. Do you have any clue on what it could be? No idea. I'm not a physical therapist, and I'm not coaching this person. I have no way to assess it. Coach, as a busy man, I train an hour thrice a week, and is an hour sufficient on each of the squat, bench, and deadlift day? Yeah, I've got some clients who have to do that due to their lifestyle, right? Jason, are sesame seeds a high quality polyunsaturated fat? I don't know. Maybe. I would need to look at their profile. I don't have info. They probably are. What are your thoughts on first rep syndrome, where your first rep feels and looks terrible, but the following reps are technically crisp and fast? You don't have the movement patterns down yet. Movement pattern issue. Hey, coach, thoughts on Olympic lifting getting kicked out of the Olympics after 2014? Is what it is. It's just the nature of the beast. I don't care about the Olympics anymore myself anyways. It's hypocritical. It's so political, and it's just basically bullshit. I could care less. Let's stick to strength sports that are independent. What's some of your favorite GPP exercises, and how would you program them circuit style? Like I've said in every video on programming GPP, if you program it, it's no longer GPP. First of all, stop overthinking your GPP. You don't program it. I love sled drags. That's probably my favorite. I think tire flips are great. I think any sort of weighted carry is great. And I think circuits with body weight exercises or even barbell complexes are all great. I'm going into the Belgian army in my training in the week and home the weekend. How do you train to maintain strength and muscle early, intermediate? You follow a program. Follow a proven program. You just may not be able to train as often. They don't have a gym for you at the Army. They do for U.S. Army. They have access to gyms and stuff once they're done with basic. What specific muscles are you referring to when you talk about hip weaning? I'm talking about just hip extension in general. All of your hip extensors, which can be parts of your quad, could be parts of your hamstring, but it is going to be part of your glutes, all those things, right? Anything responsible for hip extension. Coach, what is the optimum position for gains? I don't know. The position that gives you the longest range of motion in a joint, most of the time, except when it isn't. Got my bloods done and my SHBG was really high. Is this a problem? And what can I do to fix it? You can't do anything to fix it. You have no control over your SHBG. If you're worried about your free test, tell your doctor to increase your dose. That's all you can do. Would you ever do any chains or band stuff if you're not doing conjugate? Yeah, potentially. Probably not so much bands. I may work chains and stuff back in for some of my stuff eventually. I'm not even going to answer your question about your 8-year-old daughter doing conjugate training. Clown. Is there a time you stop eating in the evening, or do you eat anytime? I don't eat in the afternoon or evening at all, Hybrid, these days. I only eat in the morning. So I eat all of my food like by 11 a.m. What are your thoughts on the Norwegian study? You're talking about the frequency one? It was a poorly done study. All right. Do you think once already lean, shaving the body can make you look leaner, or is that just gay bodybuilder nonsense? I mean, whether it's gay bodybuilder nonsense or not, it's irrelevant. You're asking a direct question. Yes, it'll make you look leaner, particularly if you're hairy like me, because I'm super hairy if I don't take my fur off. I look like a gorilla. So we're about 40 minutes deep, and I've got some other stuff to get done. I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys, and I will talk to you next time.